Dear Borekaru, I'm Tahir Naruna. I'm a planner and I am very, very, very concerned about the most recent High Court judgment that has come out. Zayate Press has picked this up. It's been on the first page, and to me, Matdista, you must have read that ODP's allegation of scam by the High Court scraps Calangute ODP, and 2-3 days from now, I know everyone will forget this, but this judgment of the High Court has such a binding power over Goa and land in Goa that everyone has to understand what this excellent 22 page, it's not a very long judgment, 22-page judgment, what it says, because it will change how you approach land in Goa here on out. What happened? You all may have remembered when Vishwajit Rane and Michael Lobo were fighting about allegations of scam and land conversion in Calangute. Well, then the High Court has settled the matter of land conversion once and for all, mentioning that reading the facts is very depressing. I'm quoting from the judgment. It gives a glimpse into the preparation of plans for these 5 villages and the extent of illegalities involved in their preparation. Among other details, the facts amount to a severe indictment on the role played by Mr. Michael Lobo and Mr. Francis Silvera. The High Court has proved beyond a reason of doubt that there were very illegal practices carried out in making the Calangute ODP. Now, what is an ODP? You may know that the whole of Goa is governed by a regional plan. Regional plans are very broad brush. Zago settlement aha, zago agriculture kai orchard aha, nazaля zago forest aha. There is within settlement, it's just a blanket. You can do commercial, you can do residential, you can do institution, you can do everything in a settlement zone. Now, when they were conceptualizing the Planning Act, they thought that there are some areas that are growing very fast, and within 20-year horizon of a regional plan with these broad zoning categories are not enough to protect eco-sensitive areas and to guide higher rise development, high density development in certain areas. So they created something called a comprehensive development plan. They know which needs a lot of studies and a lot of data and a lot of projects to be identified. They know that takes time. So they said, okay, as a temporary measure, you do some zoning and you call that an outline development plan temporarily to lock down the zones in a fast growing area so that whatever growth happens is a regulated growth. That being said, for a long time, the only PDA areas have been cities, nazalar urban areas, villages close to the cities which have a lot of high population in a small area. It is on that basis that in 2015 the government of Goa made a proposal saying Calangute is maybe a village, but it has urban character and it's growing very fast. It's a critical area. We need to make an ODP for Calangute. Fair. I agree with that policy. The court also says there is no denying that the declaration of Calangute for ODP is sensible and right. Similarly, in 2017, the government said Arpora, Para and Nagua are also growing at this speed. Also critical, they need an ODP. But there can be ODP का 2018, the first Calangute ODP draft was made. And 2019, the Arpora Asagaw, Arpora Para ODP was made. These 2 ODPs were put up for public comment. Objection karla. It looked like, just by looking at the draft ODP, large amounts of farmland and large amounts of hill and slopy land had been converted from protected eco-sensitive areas to settlement nazalar commercial zone for high-rise development. Almost all these objections that were against the conversion of agricultural land were overruled by a committee which was nominated by Michael Lobo and Francis Silvera. For the next 4 years, from 2019 to 2022, these ODPs remained in power, with the North Goa PDA giving permissions on the basis of the zones in these two ODPs. In March 2022, Vishwajit Rane becomes TCP minister and he alleges a scam in these two ODPs. He creates an expert committee which has TCP staff inside it, and it has architect Amit Suktankar and planner Snehalata, two private members who are supposed to look into the alleged scam of the ODP. In March, he also suspends the ODP and tells the TCP department to stop giving permission based on the ODP for these 5 villages, instead to only give permission on the regional plan. This too, the court says, is very much within the government's power to do. Now, in July of 2022, a deadly report comes out by this committee. This expert committee says many things, but they generally say that the ODP for Calangute, Kandoli, Arpora, Nakwa, Para is absolute rubbish. Tatun kaits facts na, kaits study na, it is just a map. There is no vision and there is no understanding of the ground reality before changing the zones. They have given many examples of how paddy fields which are low-lying and tenanted have been converted. Very steep slopes have been converted. And they allege that it's possible TCP planners who made this ODP have not even visited the site. They recommend scrapping the ODPs altogether and going back to the regional plan. And they also gave a suggestion that future ODPs must align with the regional plan. Munun Arpin Zaite settlement zone Dhakela, Tatun you can increase and make some of those higher density, high FAR, commercial zones. But Zaite agriculture, forest, slopy land ha, Tatun hath laupag naka. The Sarkaran kide kele.
Fixed responsibilities will be forming a team of 3 along with my secretary town planning, and another 2 IAS officers will be forming a team to further investigate to fix the responsibilities. Reversion survey numbers will be blacklisted. We will not bring them back unless there is a reason to bring them back. Second, we are filing an affidavit in the court also to say that these areas we have taken out so that we can move forward. In addition, I will be making certain announcements when I am speaking on the demands, and also it is necessary certain amendments we are carrying out.
The government put these reports up to the public and said in 2 months you submit objection suggestion. And very interestingly, on 13th December 2022, अनेक notification काढला saying here is the new draft ODP for these areas. And it has been developed based on the report submitted by the expert. But we are not scrapping the ODPs. We are bringing a new ODP, which is correct. Now, Goa Foundation, who took up this case, has done a study. They said that in the report of the expert committee, 434 survey numbers were found to be fraudulently converted. In the new ODP, 401 survey numbers are fraudulently converted. This is the allegation made by Goa Foundation, and the court has reserved judgment on this. They're going to look at every survey number on a case-to-case basis, because we know that some people have started constructing, and now if the ODP is revoked, what happens to them? So these 401 cases of alleged conversion in the new ODP are going to be looked at on a case-to-case basis. That being said, so you scrapped the old ODP, you didn't scrap it, you pulled it back. You made a few tweaks, not many tweaks, and you bring the same ODP back against the advice of your own committee and against all of the statements that you have made in assembly against Michael Lobo. This is really a big question to our town planning minister, Vishwajit Rane, who read out so many of the facets of his own expert committee's report to the press, to the media. But no, he brought back the ODP in a very similar form with many of the things that his own committee said were wrong. 3 days later, ना आता कितें जालें? हे कमिटीचे भितर एक मनीस आसलो टाउन प्लॅनर R.K. पंडिता. Pandita, he has given a statement because he was employed with NGPDA. He has given a statement saying that the change of zone of Calangute Kandoli are done by Michael Lobo himself by dictating the consultant to make the change, overruling the town planning staff. The officials who signed the plan, including me, were done under force by Michael Lobo. Now, this guy is basically implicated in the report. I'm assuming because of that, or maybe because he spoke out against the politician. I don't know, and I don't want to get into what motivates R.K. Pandita to write this letter saying he signed under duress and write this allegation that Michael Lobo went over the town planners and dictated zone change, because R.K. Pandita at the end of the day did sign the plan. But possibly because of these politics, and because Pandita was still the member secretary of NGPDA, Vishwajit Rane brings a new notification on 16 December. Munun yaad karya. 13 December, Vishwajit Rane brings back the Calangute ODP with minor corrections. 16 December, Vishwajit Rane withdraws all these villages from NGPDA. And 22nd December, Vishwajit Rane doesn't do anything. His chief planner gives a circular saying that TCP office must consider the 13th December ODPs and then give permission for construction based on them, not permission for construction based on the RP. This is what now Goa Foundation challenged. They said that this never happens anywhere in the world, which is true. I have seen planning in most states in India, at least all the western states. How चोटशे जागोन study केले, माझं work been केले. I have seen planning in America as well. Nowhere do you have this silliness of make a plan, pull out the plan, then say, oh, another office should give permission based on a plan that we've pulled out. There are many discrepancies and जायते illegalities alleged illegalities and थोडे proven illegalities based on this High Court judgment. But main goshti kida is that chief planner has now said he issued this circular based on the advice of the Goa Town Planning Board. The High Court have said Goa Town Planning Board has no power to contravene the Goa Town Planning Act. Which means that based on that, the entire process after the withdrawal of Calangute ODP and then later removing of Calangute, Kandoli, Arpora, Para, Nagwa from NGPDA are the only two things that have stayed. Everything else is scrapped. Munun आता there is no Calangute ODP. There is no Arpora ODP. These two were fraudulently made and they have been scrapped. There are now, if the government wants to do it again, they have to first redeclare a Calangute ODP. The court has also suggested that they follow the instructions of their own expert committee. How does this impact Goa? If you have this type of planning, which is not planning, it is a coloring exercise based on कोणाक खबर आहा. ओ माझो मुनीस हांव तेका वळखता म्हणून extra zoning diya, extra FAR diya. Nazaler, I don't like him. I will not give him anything. If you work on this principle, the High Court has very clearly now said that we will scrap it. This is the first time an ODP has been scrapped in Goa by the court. And based on my study, a lot of our other ODPs are very similar. There is a high chance that they will get scrapped too. Why? Because the planning department has not done any studies. And because the planning department seems to be alleging that the politicians, especially those in the town planning board, are dominating them and not letting them do any planning.
हा एक सिंपल एक्झाम्पल दिता. या प्लॅनाचेर जी सायन मारल्या हो चीफ टाउन प्लॅनर प्लॅनिंग जो आता हा पळय तोच.
This reflects very badly, of course, on the former chairmen of the NGPDA, Michael Lobo, Francis Silvera. It also reflects very badly on our current town planning minister, Vishwajit Rane, who gave all of these big talks that I'm going to fix planning, clean up Goa, protect eco-sensitive areas. I'm going to stop Michael Lobo's illegalities. Took back the plan, released a scathing report, a report that I agree with line for line. Everything in the Amit Sukhtankar Snehalata expert report, I agree with. I have studied that report page to page. It makes a lot of sense. Despite that report, despite him putting that report on the floor of the house, he went ahead and brought back the same plan. Almost the same plan. Maatso correction kiya tene. And the High Court has recognized that this is not the way. This is not the way you do planning. You point the finger at someone else, 3 fingers point back at you. And that is exactly how it has played out for Vishwajit Rane. Unfortunately, it has put a lot of Goan builders now in trouble. But you know who to blame. The people who have not thought, not done anything, and who are only chasing greed. Thank you. This is a long video. It's almost 20 minutes. But I think that everybody needs to understand how planning is happening in Goa right now. And if this continues, it's going to be bad for everyone. Because I agree with the court order. I think the court has argued based on facts, and they have pointed out many lapses in governance and in decision making and also in planning. I worry because I think that other plans of Goa have followed a very similar process to the Calangute and Arpura plan. And I worry that those will also get scrapped if they go to court. And I know that there are people like Claude Alvarez Goa Foundation who will go to court. I worry for the Goans who genuinely want to construct houses. You are going to suffer. I am going to suffer because these politicians are meddling in planning and not letting planners do their work. Actually do the studies, understand the traffic issues, understand how much FAR can develop in certain areas, understand the land, understand the kind of soil, understand the growth of population, understand the housing and economic needs. Zayt studies which are never deployed in our ODPs. And the court has said it's a problem. It's going to become a problem for you unless you do something about it by catching hold of these politicians and telling them leave planning to people who actually know what planning is. You're welcome.